Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar, What's New in Salesforce Summer 16. My name is Andy Cluck and I'm on the marketing team at Ledgeview Partners. We are Salesforce Silver Consulting Partner and a Salesforce.org registered partner. Ledgeview Partners helps businesses transform their approach to sales, marketing, and customer service by aligning these teams to focus on improving their customers' experience and providing management with metrics through technology to evaluate success. All of you should now be live within the past few weeks with the summer Salesforce release, but are you using the new features and functionality that it provides? Well, today we're going to be exploring these new features Salesforce users and administrators can and should take advantage of right away with the Salesforce Summer 16 release that will help gain productivity, efficiency, and user adoption. But before I turn things over to our presenter, I do want to mention that today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on demand after the live session. All attendees are going to receive an email shortly following this webinar, and that's going to have a link to access the presentation on demand. I encourage you to share that with others on your team and network as well. To ensure the best audio quality, we do have everyone in listen-only mode today, but if you do have a question, please be sure to submit those in the question pane on that GoToWebinar control panel. We have a lot to cover today, but we promise to follow up with you after the webinar to answer any questions that you submit. All right, now time to introduce our presenter today, Ben Dvorak. Ben is is a Salesforce developer here at Ledgeview Partners. Ben, we're excited to hear about these new features and we can all use in the new Salesforce release. It's all yours.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. Like Andy said, my name is Ben. I'm one of the developers here at Ledgeview Partners, and I specialize in development on the Salesforce platform. So that means you can count on me to figure out pretty much any problems that you have with the Salesforce platform and design and build a solution for you. Today I'm going to be talking about Salesforce Summer 16 features that you can use today. So these are things that require little to no configuration, and you can get started with using them right away. So it's, free features. One of the great things about Salesforce is, anytime there's an update, you don't have to worry about installing it yourself. You get all those features for free. So we'll be talking about some enhancements to search, some enhancements to sending email through the Salesforce interface, some of the changes that are available with account creation. So when you're creating a new account inside of Salesforce, a big update to Salesforce 1 that might seem kind of simple, but it is actually a pretty big change. And then a couple of admin features. One of those is going to be Process Builder. That's, I think, the biggest change in Summer 16 overall, for me personally anyway. And then a couple of honorable mentions that just require a little bit of setup and configuration to get working inside of your Salesforce org. So they're not readily accessible. They're not something that's there right away for you, but they are pretty easy to set up. But you just have a few considerations for before you begin to use them. So on to the next slide here. Oh, and I was just talking about that, and I was looking at my next slide there. So there's everything that we'll be covering today. My apologies for that. So I'll just go ahead and jump ahead to the next slide here. So the new features for search. What's been added for search in Summer 16 is some spell correction for more objects. So if you go into Salesforce and you search for something and you typo a particular word, I can think of a couple words offhand that I typo quite a bit, like received. You'll end up seeing results for those objects with that spelling corrected. So if you typo something and you and before you were getting 0 results, now you will get the result back that has that spelling corrected in it. And this is something that's automatically enabled. It's something that you probably wouldn't notice otherwise. And it's a pretty great usability feature that'll help you out and save you some time. You might not notice it, but it's there. It's doing its work for you. The new features in email. So in Lightning Experience, this is a new feature in Lightning Experience here. Email has been enhanced to now be its own object. And it might not be too clear what that means, but previously in the past, when you sent an email through the Salesforce interface, it was created as a task inside of Salesforce, a completed task. And that seems kind of strange to create a task inside of Salesforce to represent an email. Now email is its own object. It's like a case or like an account. You can relate an email to a contact, relate an email to a account. Again, this is something that is in the Lightning experience only, though. So if you're using the standard Salesforce interface, the Aloha, as it's sometimes called, you won't be able to use this right away, but Lightning experience isn't too difficult to get into, and that's something that we definitely do help out here with at Ledger Partners, is getting people onto Lightning experience. So the email looks like an email in the activity timeline, and the email message object is also customizable. So you could add fields to the email object, and that's something that admins might care about. So they could add, fields that get updated when certain actions happen, like if you followed up on an email or something like that. And this is a feature that is automatically enabled in your organization as long as you don't use email the case. And if you don't know what that is, there's a good chance that you're not using it, but I would say ask your admin to clarify on that for you. And I did want to go ahead and just kind of show the enhanced email interface. So it looks quite nice, and I'm going to go into a lead here that is myself. And I'm just going to go ahead and send an email to myself, and we'll just see what that looks like. So on the main screen here, you can see that we have an email tab up here where we can actually compose an email. And this editor here is all has been spruced up for Summer 16. And I'll just go ahead and send myself an email here. And we'll see what this looks like inside of the activity timeline here. So if you're using Lightning Experience in this activity timeline, previously this looked like a task, but now it's got this email icon here, and I see I didn't set a subject, rookie mistake. But I sent myself an email, and you can easily distinguish between an email getting sent versus an activity or task getting completed, which is pretty important, I think. And we'll go ahead and go to the next slide here. One of the new features that was added in Summer 16 here is related to creating an account. And this is a feature that requires just a tiny bit of setup, but it's actually really easy, and I'll actually go ahead and show you how to set that up. It's just 2 checkboxes that we got to flip. But what it is it's account autofill. So when you're creating an account inside of Lightning Experience, you'll be able to type into the name field in the new account screen, and Salesforce will automatically try to find accounts that match that name. And it'll fill in quite a few different fields for you automatically, which is a huge time saver. So if you're trying to find out, what a company's phone number, an address, or website is, a lot of times Salesforce will be able to find that for you. And I'll go ahead and give that a quick demo here. First of all, we'll go ahead and turn it on. So I'm going to go ahead and go into Setup here. And this is, again, inside of Lightning Experience. And I'm going to go ahead and type in this quick find box up top here. Type the word account and go to Account Settings. And inside Account Settings, you'll notice that I've left this account autofill and account logos enabled from the last time that I ran through doing this demo here. But these 2 checkboxes right here are the ones that you'll want to check, and you're going to get a little notification when you check those checkboxes that says we actually hit a third-party service to help match up company name information and get you other information back, like the phone, address, and website. And they make their best effort to not include anything that's going to identify what company you are and who you're looking for. So they have to basically run essentially what amounts to a Google search. I'm not sure what service they're using to get this information here, but that's essentially what it is. It's a search to figure out who you're looking for, and get you information back so that your account fills in. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a new account here after enabling this new feature here. And the other thing that I checked there was also account logos. Those are a little bit more limited in my experimentation. A lot of mostly major companies are the ones that have logos. So we'll go ahead and look up DuPont here, and I'm going to misspell it. So you can see that we've got the logo and we've got some search results here when we type in the account name. And when I click on this, it's going to go ahead and fill in. Looks like we get a phone number, a website, and a billing address for DuPont here. We can go ahead and save that. And we've just created an account without having to do a whole lot of work. And we've gotten a couple of fields filled in for free. The next feature, I don't have a demo for this one here, but inside of Salesforce One, you may not have been aware of this, but the ability to change the owner of a record was not something that you could do inside of Salesforce One. And this is something that's automatically enabled in the latest version of Salesforce One. So you'll want to make sure that you get your Android device, your iOS device on the latest version of Android or iOS, and then also update that Salesforce One app, and you should have access to this feature today. So this is pretty helpful because I know a lot of people like to change the owner of, say, a lead. That's the one that I see most often. So a lead gets assigned by a sales manager to one of their sales reps, and that sales manager would like to be able to do that through the Salesforce One interface. Well, now they can. And then on to our admin feature for Summer 16 here, Process Builder. So Process Builder is kind of the next generation of the workflow rule. It's a very nice graphical interface that you can use for building out business logic. So, you know, if a lead gets created with a certain status, you can then do some actions like send an email or update a field based upon the criteria in that lead. Processes, and this is kind of a big change, but sometimes it's kind of hard to understand. But processes inside of Process Builder can now run actions on more than one criteria. So what that means is previously when you built a process inside of Salesforce, your Process Builder would run through and say it's running when a lead is created. It would run through the criteria of your process and look and say, hey, is this field set to this? Then do this action. And you could have multiple criteria inside of your process. So you could check, you know, is the status set to new, or is the status set to dead lead, or you know, unresponsive lead. But now, when you build a process inside of Builder, you can set at the end of your action for some criteria that runs. You can set at the end of your action the ability to continue to evaluate the next set of criteria in your process. And I'll go ahead and open up Process Builder here, just to kind of demo this a little bit. But what it means is you can now basically build a process for one object that does everything that you want to do. You know, previously, if you wanted to execute an action when the status field changes on a lead, and also execute an action when a date goes past a certain point on a lead, you would have to build two processes. But now you can have both of those actions inside of one process, and all you have to do is just, after you evaluate the criteria that is triggered based off of the status field, you just add a action at the end of your action. You just have to tell it to continue to evaluate criteria inside of this process. And it'll just be 1 second here while I build this up here. So we just have to pick a field here. Status equals contacted. And I'm just kind of choosing arbitrary criteria here. And then what you do is you click on this stop button down here, and it looks like we actually have to add some criteria down here. So we check to see if the status is contacted, and then we do some things. And then what would previously happen is this process would be done. There would be no continuing on to the next criteria. So the first criteria that runs and is true gets evaluated, and the action gets executed, and then it's done. But now you can have it run through, I've seen up to like 10 different criteria in a process in Summer 16 now. And this is a very powerful feature, and one that I know a lot of admins were looking for. So that'll help you consolidate all your processes into one process for one object, and it really helps with maintainability going forward. And that's something that should be very important. So we'll go ahead and continue on here. Some of the honorable mentions for Summer 16. One of the biggest ideas I've ever seen on the Idea Exchange is the ability to relate contacts to multiple accounts. And I see this especially in the nonprofit area, where a nonprofit contact might be on the board of multiple nonprofits. And that's something that the Nonprofit Starter Pack kind of handled on it by itself for a while. But now in plain Jane Salesforce, without the Nonprofit Starter Pack installed, you're able to relate a contact to multiple accounts. So if you have a contact that works for 2 different companies that you're in contact with them at both those companies, you're able to represent that inside of Salesforce. So this sounds kind of simple. It's something that a lot of people wanted for a long time, and it seemed like a very, very simple idea, but it's actually a big change in the way that your data is represented behind the scenes. So you're going to want to do your due diligence with this and have your admin evaluate whether or not your organization can support that feature, and then go through enabling that feature. So a lot of, if you have a lot of process automation or a lot of triggers running on your org that work with contacts and accounts, you're going to want to make sure that this change isn't going to affect your triggers or your workflows negatively. The other honorable mention here is going to be the ability to send emails through your Office 365 or Gmail account. So when you receive an email that is sent through the Salesforce interface, it comes from noreply@salesforce.com on behalf of your email address inside of Salesforce. And sometimes that can cause spam filters, like overzealous spam filters, to pick up your email and discard it or shove it in the spam folder. And when you're sending an email to a customer through Salesforce or to a prospect through Salesforce, you want to make absolutely certain that that comes through to that customer. So what this is it's a way to configure Salesforce to actually utilize your Office 365 or your Gmail account when you're sending email through the Salesforce interface. This is something that your admin has to go through setup to enable. This one's a lot less impactful than relating contacts to multiple accounts, but it does take some configuration time and some setup to get working inside of your org there. So definitely going to help in your deliverability and open rates on your email. And a couple of resources as a part of this webinar here. If you're interested in other features that came in summer 16, hands down the best place to go is the release notes. And I would recommend, just as a big overview, the how and when do features become available section. And what that is it's just a big list of how and when certain features become available. I'm going to try to click on my own link here and see if it opens up. So that's this section right here. And what it's going to have in it is how do you get access to these features? So enable to free users means there's no configuration required. It's there for you, the end user. Enabled for administrators, developers, that means that there's no or little configuration required, but it's a feature that's only available for system administrators, and then requires administrator setup and contact Salesforce to enable. Those are both varying degrees of difficulty for getting features enabled. So you can see that there's a huge list of features in Summer 16. So we only covered the most major and most easily accessible features in this release here, but you can see that there are quite a few different features available in Summer 16. So if you're curious about additional features, definitely that's the place to be. And the other section that I recommend here is there's the You Asked For It section. And those are features that were added as a part of the Idea Exchange program. So those are features that you, the user, requested and upvoted on the Idea Exchange, and then those features were delivered in this release. And that's about all I have for now. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Andy here. I'll flip up to the next slide here. He's got some upcoming webinars to talk to you all about.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ben. It's a great presentation. Definitely some great features everyone can begin using in this new Salesforce release right off the bat. Before we go, I do just want to remind everyone that if you ask a question, we will follow up afterwards. And you will also be receiving a copy of today's on-demand presentation shortly afterwards. So feel free to share that with others in your organization, as I said earlier. As Ben said, we do have some great webinars coming up in July. Our Marketing Automation Bootcamp series continues with our partners from Act On, and that's going to be next month. And also, Jody, our CRM application consultant, is going to be presenting 5 strategies to better segment your current lead database. So keep an eye out for more info on how to register for these 2 great webinars, and that'll be in the email, the on-demand email coming out shortly as well. Also, you can always check any upcoming webinars on our website at ledgerypartners.com, and then clicking on the News and Events circle, and that'll send you on the right-hand side. There'll be a drop-down list with all the webinars we have upcoming for the next several months. So feel free to sign up for any of those. And thanks again for joining us today. And from all of us at Ledgery Partners, have a great rest of your week.